In step 7 of our design process, what we really want to cover is how easy it is to modify your model with synchronous technology. And we use a tool called the steering wheel to help us do this. What I want you to do is come over to the base on your Pathfinder and click the base coordinate system, and you can see that that coordinate system is right in the center of our model, and that's important to understand when we talk about symmetry. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to click on this side face, and you notice there's going to be an arrow, the grab and go tool, and if I click that arrow I can pull that face out, and if it's symmetric about the ZX axis, and symmetry in what we call live rules, which is turned on down here, is monitoring this. If live rules is on, then it's going to maintain symmetry. If I modify the steering wheel in any way by clicking on the origin, you're going to notice a change. You're going to notice that the entire steering wheel highlights. Now let's talk a little bit about this steering wheel. What is this tool for? Well, an arrow key means I can pull this face outward. If I put this on the edge, you'll notice it reorients it right to that edge, and I could rotate this green face up by using the torus on the steering wheel. So all this is a tool that allows us to modify the geometry depending on whether I select the primary axis, the secondary axis, the small axis, and also if I select the blue plane, it allows me to move, for example, a hole in this plane. I can move it anywhere freehand. Now if I go ahead and click on that, and by the way, you just click on it and let go, and then it'll follow along. I'm going to put that back on this face, and then I'm going to hold the shift key down and click on that blue plane. You notice how it reorients it so that it's flat. The torus is flat on that surface. If I select any one of these quadrants at 12 o'clock or 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock, you notice it changes the orientation of the primary or secondary axis. In this case, it's the primary axis. So what we want to do is go ahead and pull this face outward. Well, if I pick this arrow, this secondary axis arrow, you're going to notice that if I pull too far, it's going to tell me, well, you can't really do that because it pulls it beyond that cylinder. But if I stay within, and by the way, when you're doing this, you want to move your cursor slow. You notice as I move inward, it allows me to make a change. You notice it's moving symmetrically about that base coordinate system. Because down below, you'll notice symmetry is green. That means symmetry is on, and it's monitoring our model. So what we want to do is we want to move this in about 6 millimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and key in a value of 6, hit a tab, and it's going to move that to 6 millimeters, giving us an 8 millimeter. Remember, it was 20 millimeters. 6 off of each side is 12, which leaves us with a thickness of 8. The next thing I'm going to do is clear the stack, and I'm going to come up and I'm just going to fence select this torus, this cylinder with the hole in it, counterbore hole in it. And you're going to notice that the steering wheel, again, pops up. Now what I want to do is I'm going to pick this top 12 o'clock button so that the primary axis is pointing straight up. And then I want you to come down to the live rules. I want you to turn off the lock to base reference. Just turn that off. And then we can come up and grab the primary axis, click it one time and let go, and you'll notice it puts you in a dynamic move again. And what we're going to do is go ahead and move this up 10 millimeters. Tab so that you can verify what it looks like, and if you like it, then you just simply click or hit the escape key, and it's going to allow you to move that model. Now let's take a look at the dimensions very quickly. You'll notice here if I click on a dimension, you'll notice the arrow. That's the direction it's going to move the geometry. The dialog here gives you an option to move either side. So if I scroll this side, it's going to move that side. If I pick this side, it's going to move that side. So let's go ahead and move it to, say, 62 and hit a tab. Another thing is if I click on the lock. Now we turned the lock off of the 35, but I'm going to turn it on for the 62. I don't want any changes I make to this model to affect this dimension. I can directly click it and make a change to it, but any other modification to the model cannot override this value. So that's how you can maintain your values. Now hopefully your students will be caught up to you at this point, so what you want to do is just go ahead and click on the Save button, and then make sure that they're all caught up with you before we move on to the final step.